August 27th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, fantasy cell phone.
Let's do this. Not much is happening lately. Just a lot of video game playing again. So I got a new video card today, which I have yet to install. So I kind of want to hurry this show along so I can go install it.
Yeah, the tide has kind of turned. Over the years, Scott and I keep leapfrogging each other in computers. And currently, I am way ahead and Scott's computer is old and slow and busted.
Yeah, basically I realized I could either get a new computer now or I could upgrade my computer, something I've never really done before because it's always been better to just buy a new one. And since I use my laptop for a lot of business these days anyway, I could just upgrade the computer to the point at which I could probably play the Orange Box games that are going to come out really well, and I won't have to worry about upgrading it again for like a hajillion years. More like 3 years, but I upgraded the RAM a while ago from half a gig to 2 gigs, and now today I'm upgrading the video card from an NVIDIA 5900 to a 7600 GT. So that leaves me, the only weak link is the processor, but processor not so much needed. I think it'll be fine.
Well, I mean, the video card is not an optimal solution. It's just that those super good high-end 7900s that are also really cheap aren't really available anymore.
Yeah, that's what people are saying, but I think it's kind of like whatever, because the 8600s are like $100 or $200. You know, they're not expensive.
Yeah.
Only expensive cards are the stupid crazy cards that nobody needs, because from what I hear, people are playing the crazy Bioshocks and things at like the full-on settings with just fine resolutions and things, and they got no problems. And those are like with 7,000 cards. So the people with the 8,000 cards are already overboard. And so the people with the $500 cards are double overboard. I don't know what the hell game they're playing, but suit themselves. I really don't care. They fell for the hype and they got money to burn. Go nuts. My computer's going to last me a long time, and I barely spent any money on it.
Yeah, granted, I'm just a nut, and I really can't deal with any change in frame rate while I'm playing an FPS.
Somehow I doubt I'm going to have a change in frame rate. From what I hear, other people who have the same CPU as me, which is an Athlon XP 2500, have no problems with like the latest awesome games.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I'm not sure. Benchmarks are all over the place.
With
to the
my
point that they're
5900,
useless.
I wasn't having problems, so I'm not going to have problems with the even better video card.
No, when I stood behind you watching you play Counter-Strike Source, it slowed down a lot when you went around corners or smoke grenades got thrown anywhere.
I think you're just crazy and you have a psychological issue.
No, it was a pretty clear drop in frame rate. It'd go... I
don't notice any problems. It's smooth for me. I was playing it just fine.
Maybe you got bad. You're not so good.
I'm shooting people
Last
up all
night
over the
at
place.
a natural selection, I was kicking your ass.
You're even kicking my ass. The team game, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, I was kicking quite a bunch of asses.
Yeah, except I remember one moment when I was sitting there, and I'm a little gorgy, and you ran up with the machine gun, and you emptied a whole clip and didn't even hit me. And then...
First of all, I hit you plenty, and second of all, that pretty much all that has to do with is your offense tower finished, and we didn't have any upgraded weapons at that point.
Yeah.
So what was gonna,
But you didn't hit me. You just kind of shot near me, and I just kind of...
on my screen, I was hitting you. I had
You
the gun.
weren't hitting me.
On my screen, the gun was in your butt, and there was little yellow stuff going.
I was facing you, and I wasn't taking any damage.
You weren't. When on my screen, you were facing into the offense tower.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So.
Well, the fact remains that you died, and I had full health.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Kill you, and then destroy the Marine commander base.
Yeah, the thing is natural selection. It's like FPS skills, while they matter, especially early in the game, you can't really say, oh, you died because of me and NS, therefore I'm better than you FPSs, because it's so much a team game, and so much depends on so many other things more.
Fine, let's play some one-on-one Counter-Strike after this.
Counter-Strike 1-on-1 is not an FPS of skill.
How not?
It's not a game of FPS skill. If you want to play a game of FPS skill, we have to play like some Quake 2
Let's
or
play
something.
some Doom 2 Deathmatch.
Doom 2 is not a 3D.
We can play that gen mod of Quake 2.
We could do that. That's a good two-person. The thing is, there really aren't too many good two people. I think Ricochet is the only good.
Oh, man, Ricochet was such a good game, but no one plays it.
It's the only good two people FPS out there.
You know what? Whenever we have a free weekend and free time, I think we're going to try to get everyone, all our friends in Steam, all you listeners, to play Ricochet together.
Why do we just keep talking about video games on Tech Day? We got no tech to talk about?
Fine, so speaking of pornography...
Pervert.
I don't know how many of you know about Australia, though I know we have a lot of listeners there, so I'm sure you can attest to this, but your government is a little bit puritanical sometimes, a little bit right-wing sometimes.
Yeah,
a little bit scary.
they ban quite a few video games and movies
And
and
they try to block porn and make porn filters and all sorts of things, but
it's not so great for the freedom of creativity and speech and such.
there's a story here on Slashdot. Now, it links to a blog, and I didn't really research the actual story, so I can't say 100% if this is actually true, because I generally don't trust these blogs much. But the point of the story, regardless of whether or not this specific instance is true, though I'm pretty sure it is more that this will happen no matter what. So Australia has this $84 million internet porn filter that they paid $84 million for. And apparently, a year 10 Australian kid cracked it in about 30 minutes.
Oh, I read that story, but it didn't say it was like the Australian national filter. He said it was like a local school filter.
Yeah, but the article still says $84 million internet porn filter.
Yeah, the point is that
Kids can
filtering the
always
internet.
get around a porn filter.
filtering the internet doesn't work, no matter what. Period.
I mean, think about it. China can't even keep the internet completely locked down. How is Australia going to?
It's not gonna have people who have one school with one single fiber optic cable leaving the school and all internet traffic going along that cable can't filter it successfully with only maybe like 100 people in the school. There's no way.
Well, there's a lot of technical reasons. I mean, one, they're trying to filter based on content, which, because we don't have artificial intelligence worth a damn yet, and because there's really no way to have a computer look at a picture and decide if it's obscene or how obscene it is, or is that one boob or two, or can you see the whole labia? I don't know.
Or is this a picture of Michelangelo's David or a naked guy? Who knows?
Is that a penis or just a banana?
We don't know.
We really don't know. Maybe it's a guy with jaundice. We really can't tell.
So you have to base your filtering on other factors.
And those factors don't matter, because you could have a site that was like happyfurrykittens.com and it's just hardcore pornography.
You could also have a site, hardcore fucking rim in the ass, something, dildo, something. And it's just a site of happy lolcats.
Huh. I find it interesting that your example, well, my example involved puppies and kittens and pornography. And yours involved sex with me and dildos.
What do you want?
Not that.
All right, fine. Rim writing the sexmachine.com.
But the thing is, with China, it's a little easier, because if you want to block, like, based on you can't get from this country or this place, it's a lot easier. I mean, you can get around it with filters and proxies, but it's generally much easier to block content going to and from specific places. But as you all know, on the internet, porn comes from everywhere.
There is porn at every possible venture.
In fact,
you can
remember
imagine.
when we reported on Bay-Img a while ago?
Yep.
And, oh, this is cool. So I clicked on a random link, and I clicked on, I think, Digimon. And the first thing I saw was Digimon pornography.
Another thing is that a lot of like firewalls and filtery things, right? Because of the way SSL works, right? If you want to like visit your bank's website, that doesn't go through the filters and things, because if it does, it won't work, because SSL is designed to prevent man-in-the-middle attacks and stuff like
Which
that.
is basically what proxy censorship is.
Right. So when you do that, like let's say your work has an HTTP proxy and you want to visit your bank's website, either they set it up where you're not allowed to visit your bank's website, or they allow you to make a direct connection to your bank. So if someone sets up a porn site that's secure and they like sell logins or something like that, you could just totally visit it. Or if someone makes a tunnel and you go through the tunnel, there's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. There is no filter in the world that can stop someone from making like an SSL tunnel somewhere, except for not letting them use the internets at all and not letting them do anything on the computer at all, at which point they can't use the computer, so what's the point of even giving them one? They're not going to be able to get their work done.
Yep. I mean, it really just comes down to you're trying to block subjective content based on subjective moral bullshit. And the only way to actually do that is to have a human being look at every single thing that anyone tries to look at in all of Australia and have a big yes and a big no button.
And then your entire law is based on that person's subjectivity.
The thing is, the laws are really subjective and crap anyway.
Yep.
I mean, I can't say specifically how it is in Australia, but you all know in America there's different hard and soft regulations. Like, they said fuck more than once. They showed 1.5 tits. We're coming down on them.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's technologically infeasible to filter. Just give up. It's like DRM. Just give up.
I think a much better way is to teach children about what the internet actually is and how to use it safely and properly.
Hey, Rim, did you see any pictures of naked ladies when you were a kid?
I may have.
I may have as well. Are you doing all right over there?
I think I'm doing okay.
Traumatized?
Well, there is this one picture. But you've seen that one too.
Yeah.
I think we all know which one we're talking about.
Point is,
You know the one.
give it up, prudes. Give it up. All right. So, over the weekend, when we weren't really paying attention, apparently some semi-big news happened. And I'm just going to pretend it's true because it was reported in so many places, and that's fine by me.
Well, there is an update on Slashdot that Microsoft has identified and fixed the problem, including posted instructions for people who had a problem. So,
All right. Yeah. The point is, Microsoft Windows and other Microsoft software has a new thing, a relatively new thing called Genuine Advantage. That's what they like to call it.
I like that. That's quite a euphemism. Like,
It
check
is.
it out. It's a genuine
They
advantage.
basically, the idea of Genuine Advantage is that, according to Microsoft, you get an advantage if you use genuine Microsoft software as opposed to pirated Microsoft software. The advantage is that you get updates and your software works properly.
But my old pirated copy of Windows 2000 got updates just fine.
Yeah, but not you haven't been using that since the Genuine Advantage.
Well, they didn't really do that with Windows 2000.
Yeah. The way it works is whenever you go to Windows Update or whenever you turn your computer on, or, well, I don't know if it happens every time you turn your computer on, but whenever you go to Windows Update or do some other certain activities on your computer, your copy of Windows will go and check with the Microsoft Genuine Advantage server to make sure that your copy of Windows is genuine. So let's say I install Windows on my computer and I update it. It'll be cool if I paid for it. It's a real copy of Windows that came with my Dell computer. Then I give Rim my CD key and he installs that same copy of Windows on his computer. And he goes and updates. That server realizes that two people are using the same CD key and they're both updating the same exact updates within like 5 minutes of each other. And it's not stupid. It goes, hey, you're obviously pirating one of you. And then it shuts us both down, and our Windowses don't stop working entirely, but it basically cuts our Windowses down to almost no functionality whatsoever, so that they're basically useless. And the only way you can get it to work again is either to... Basically, you have to go to the Windows Genuine Advantage server again and get it to say, yes, you're genuine, as opposed to, no, you're still a pirate.
I still can't believe that my copy of XP is legitimate.
Yes.
Because we got it through a somewhat shady
It's
way.
not shady. It's perfectly legal.
Eh,
Anyway, the point is that they somehow say that it's an advantage to have a operating system where there is a possibility that the operating system will just stop working.
now, we've a lot of times open source people, and I and Scott have both made this argument that, with a system like this, with the authentication on the server side and whatever, it is possible for Microsoft to just fuck everybody.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you could do about it.
They could just decide one day, you know what? We're going to turn off every copy of Windows. Every
evil.
copy of Windows will just turn off, and that'll be... If Microsoft goes out of business somehow, or if there's a bomb at Microsoft and the servers get destroyed, everyone's Windows will stop working.
Or what if Microsoft just one day said, all right, world, pay us $1 billion or we turn off Windows everywhere.
Yep. And basically what happened over the weekend was a taste of that, in that the Genuine Advantage server had an outage, and a lot of people who tried to update during that period of time got fucked, and they couldn't get anything done or use their computers really until the server came back up and they restarted their computers.
Take that, all of our friends who said that couldn't happen.
Because it just did. And, well, all I gotta say is, with Linux, this just isn't possible. I mean, even if every person who currently works on a Linux kernel said, fuck everybody, double deuce, we have all the source code. I have a copy. Rim has a copy.
Yes, I do.
Millions of computers everywhere have copies of the code to all this software.
What was that possibly apocryphal quote? Not real. I guess apocryphal isn't the word, but a possibly misattributed quote to Linus Torvalds that was basically, I just back up my source code to the rest of the world.
Yeah. There's no way that this could ever happen with open source, and that is just one of the reasons why Windows sucks and Linux doesn't.
Yeah. Now, granted, I mean, a lot of people use Windows because they're not going to deal with Linux, which Linux isn't perfect and all that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying...
What I'm going to say is that when it comes to governments, militaries, anything big and important like that, the idea of using a proprietary operating system, like the fact that our military uses Microsoft Windows for a lot of things, and our government uses Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office, in a way, our government and military have basically said, we are going to give this corporation, this international corporation, a lot of power over us that we have almost nothing, we have no way to do anything against them if they decide to ever do anything bad.
Yeah, and it's basically comes down to trust in that we trust Microsoft so much not to just fuck us over. I mean, we could go to war. Like, what if there's a real war that was actually, like, someone was attacking the U.S. with, like, a bunch of planes and boats. And then Microsoft just said, haha, we want the U.S. to lose. Windows off. The planes would crash and tanks would stop working. It'd be game over. They could kill us all. Whereas with Linux, can't happen.
So I guess the moral here is, if you don't use Linux, the U.S. might get invaded and we might all die. Things of the day. So I've been in recording studios before. We had a recording studio at RIT that we got to play around in, and at one of the hospitals I work at, there's a bunch of hearing labs where they test people's hearing, so they have super isolation sound booths. And if you've ever been in one of these rooms, it's really neat in that, at least if it's a good one, there's no echoes in the room.
Yeah, they've got all kinds of foam and stuff on the walls, so that the only sounds you hear are the sounds you make, and you won't get, like, sound bouncing off the wall going back into the microphone a second time or anything like that.
Now, you don't, like, it's kind of eerie to be in these rooms if you're not used to it, because there's no echoes, and your voice sounds kind of thin, and everything sounds really kind of close, and it's kind of neat. But the thing is, my thing of the day here, I did this partly because I'm really sick of just using a video from Dig every day, and I found these pictures, and they're pretty cool. This is the largest anechoic chamber in the world. So it's a no echo chamber, but it's gigantic. There are pictures of many, 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 many fighter jets in this, very far apart from one another.
I imagine they use it to detect the radar profiles of said jets.
Things like that.
Things like that.
In fact, it not only does it block sound, but it blocks all sorts of RF stuff, too.
Ooh, you could use that room for a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, I kind of want to just run around inside it yelling.
I kind of want to run around inside it with radios.
All right, that's all I got.
We could do some Doppler action in there. That'd be pretty cool, because it would actually work like it's supposed to in the science textbook. All right. So, this is a thing of the day classic. I can't believe this was never a thing of the day.
It might have been, but I couldn't find it.
And Rim was actually the one who remembered it recently, but I yoinked it because I couldn't find anything better, and I also didn't want to use a Dig video.
I was looking at this anechoic chamber, and I'm like, this will be my thing of the day. And then randomly, I'm like, wait a minute. I have no idea what prompted me to think of this. But,
yeah. So, I don't know where to go, but...
Well,
yeah.
Of all the websites on the internet...
Of all the websites, right, this one is an old meme that is from the late 90s, it must be, and it's incredibly awesome, and it entertained us back in the high school days. And, of course, we got to RIT, and everyone already knew about it. That's how old this meme is. And it's so old, and I guess... so unknown these days that, like, usually all the old memes come back around. Like, you go on Dig and you see, like, all your base, and it's like, yeah, we've seen that before, but somehow it shows up again from all the people who didn't see it the first time. This hasn't shown up again, at least not in my memory. This is just, people have forgotten about this one, and I'm bringing it back.
Now, websites, I mean, even today, this is one of the most functional websites I have ever been to. I mean, it lets you do anything.
Yep. Anything is possible at... Zumblecom.
You can do anything. The only limit is yourself.
The unattainable is attainable.
The move, La Flaga. Welcome
to Zumblecom. That's it, Zumblecom.
You
gotta go to Zumblecom if you want to ever get anything done, because you can do anything there.
Now, as much as we often talk about, websites have to be functional, like they got to be the text that does the thing, and I want to get my information and get the hell out. Art websites like this, because this is art as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, it's like a masterpiece.
And especially the fact that someone way back in the day put this up
with Flash 2 or Flash 1,
paid for hosting, paid for the domain,
and they still have it registered, and the domain registered until 2010, and the site is still up. Good God.
And never has it changed.
Nope, they never changed the site.
Just it's really, I like things like this. It's very, when I first found this, I remember thinking, wow, that's kind of cool. And I almost would say it kind of epitomizes the idea of this internet culture of sharing and providing back. A lot of people make a lot of websites that do a lot of things that are really nice and really cool, and they don't make money off of that. They don't get anything in return except knowing that they made someone smile.
Yeah, and this
or in our case, knowing that we pissed someone off.
This website is definitely, I would say it's zen in many ways.
It is. It is.
You should visit it and just sit at the website for a while, and until you realize that anything is possible, and then just sit there and don't stop. Just look at the website for a while.
Now, if we were mean, we could have said if you watch long enough, something special happens.
Well,
but no,
if you watch long enough, it does eventually end, and you'll know when it ends. So.
Yeah, and then it loops.
Yep. All right.
So, cell phones.
Well, basically what happened here is we had a convergence of coincidences. I guess maybe not coincidences. On our Geek Nights...
It's serendipity. It's
On our-
synchronicity.
No, it's not, because that's all bullshit. On our calendar of what to do for the Geek Nights episode, it said, what do we want in a cell phone? And also, by chance, the Apple iPhone was recently unlocked. So, what better timing?
Yeah. Now, we're not going to talk about the iPhone, except possibly obliquely many times.
Yep.
The idea here is... Because Scott always used to yell at me because I always had the cheapest, crappiest cell phone I could get. I always got, whatever was free. And to this day, I still get whatever is free. And Scott would always spend a little bit of money and get a little bit nicer cell phone.
Well, the thing is that, I don't have a regular phone. And so my cell phone is my only phone. And I barely make calls. But if I'm going to have something that's my only phone calling thing... I don't want the cheapest and shittiest phone calling thing. I think I can have the slightly better $50 phone calling thing that has some features that even though I barely use them, I might use them a little bit.
What features does your phone have that my free phone doesn't have?
I got MP3s.
Mine can do MP3s. It can take up to a 1 gig mini SD whatever card in the back.
Yeah, mine can take a mini SD card, and I can load it up with pictures on the mini SD card.
I can do that.
That was the main reason I went for this phone, as opposed to on my previous phone, I had to get software from the internet and buy a special cable in order to get the photos off of it without paying money. On my new phone, I can take pictures to the SD card and take them right out of there without any trouble.
See, I don't know if I can do that because I never take pictures with my cell phone, but I'm pretty sure I could mess with this phone and unlock it to do what I want to do.
Yeah. The thing is, I didn't have to do anything to this phone.
But you can do anything. Anything.
If you can get your phone to Zombocom, maybe. Also, my phone has the Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth dial-up networking is theoretically possible. And while I don't do that, I could, in the middle of nowhere in an emergency, pay for it and get on the net in a super emergency.
I can also do that.
Yeah. All right. So,
The thing is, phones now, even crappy phones like the free phone Verizon or Sprint gives you, has all the basic functions of pretty much every normal cell phone.
Yeah. The problem is it's sort of like this tough thing, because either a phone is something I have to carry around with me. It's just sort of the way it is, even though I barely make calls. That's just the way the world is now. I need to have a cell phone.
Yeah,
right?
particularly imagine the days before cell phones going to, an anime convention or going on a road trip in multiple cars.
Yep.
You're screwed.
So I have to have a cell phone. No matter what I carry on me, I have to carry a phone. So in addition, I carry a lot of other gadgets. And as much as I like gadgets, I don't like carrying things. I like to carry as few things as possible.
But yet I note that despite the fact that your phone can play MP3s, you still carry an iPod. And despite the fact that your phone can play games, you still carry a DS.
And the reason is the phone sucks at playing games and the phone sucks at playing MP3s.
So what we're going to talk about tonight, because in theory, I would love to have a little super smart iPhone kind of thing that can go on the internet and make calls and go to my Google Calendar and take pictures and download and upload and Bluetooth and game and MP3 and everything. But the reason I always get the crappy cell phone is that it's not a matter of money even. It's a fact that no matter how much money...
I'm willing to pay almost any amount of money.
No matter how much money we're willing to spend, there is not a phone on this freaking earth that does even a fraction of the things I want it to do, let alone for a reasonable price.
Basically what it comes down to is if my phone... For example, if my phone doesn't play MP3s well enough to replace the iPod or maybe an iAudio or whatever, if it doesn't play MP3s as well as or better than a standalone portable MP3 player, then it's effectively not an MP3 player. I don't need emergency MP3 playing, all right? It's, So if it doesn't do that, then it can't replace the MP3 playing device, which means I'm going to use the phone only for its phone calling. So I'm going to have two devices anyway. So what the hell do I care if the phone has better or worse MP3 playing on it? It's either sufficient or not sufficient. That's the end of the story.
So what we're going to talk about is this is almost like fantasy football, but for super nerds. Fantasy cell phone.
Right.
Now, basically the idea is that, like we said, we'd be willing to spend money. Like, I'd be willing to spend $500, $600, $700 for a good
something
phone.
like that.
I'll put it this way. We're going to talk about the kind of cell phone, the features it would have to have for us to have reacted to it the way a lot of people reacted to the iPhone.
Yep.
The kind of phone that I would stand in line overnight to get one.
Well, there is one good thing to say about the iPhone, and that is that the interface of the iPhone doesn't suck.
Yes.
And that is one major problem with current phones, especially in the US, but also everywhere else, is that the user interface is horrendous and ass. I mean, I'm always kind of sad when I see old people trying to use a cell phone, because usually I'm like, I'll be like, old people can't use a computer. And I'm like, you old people, get with the times. But when it comes to cell phones especially, part of it is that the cell phone has a really horrible interface.
Yeah.
And, even old people who try to learn how to use a phone, it's not easy. I mean, it's hard for me to use my freaking phone,
Yeah, I mean, it's just counterintuitive crap. And when I first get a new phone, it takes me a while to figure out how to make it do the things I want it to do.
I mean, like, for me to, like, even text message people, the interface for, like, choosing people from my contact list to add to a text message sucks goddamn balls. It's horrendous. It's useless. So when I send text messages, it's painful. I only send them when it's more convenient than calling, which is rare. So the first thing a phone has to have is user interface that it doesn't suck. And the one the iPhone has, I'd say, is bare minimum of goodness.
So that's the line. If it's got to have an iPhone-ish interface, and I'd be cool with it.
It's got to be as good as or better than iPhone interface.
Now, dude, it's got to make calls. Now, that might sound stupid, but I've seen people who have cell phones that just, the microphone is crappy and you can't understand them when they talk. Or the earpiece isn't loud enough.
Or the speakerphone isn't good enough. Or, the Bluetooth headset doesn't stay connected properly. Or whatever.
Just for whatever reason, it just doesn't get service in places where it should.
Also, I think the iPhone actually is one of the nice things it does. But, for example, if someone calls me while I'm talking, it's gotta behave appropriately. If I want to make a text message while I'm talking to someone on the speakerphone, that has to work properly. If I'm if I'm using another feature of the phone and I get a call, it has to react appropriately. Basically everything involving calling has to be slick and cool and work exactly as you would expect it to, with no annoyances. And
I guess we can boil this
down.
down. Before it does anything else, it's got to be a phone, and it's got to work as a phone.
It sure does. All right, what else does that to do?
Well, beyond that, it has to be, in some ways, a mini computer. It has to be a smartphone, because I'm paying a lot of money. I want a smartphone, but BlackBerries and all those smartphones really suck to use.
Yes, and while there are things that they do well, for example, the BlackBerry does email pretty well, I can't just install any application I want. A lot of the applications for it cost money, and there aren't a large assortment of free applications.
A lot of them don't work.
Yeah, a lot of them don't work properly. A lot of them don't work the way I want them to work. While there are dev kits to write my own software, they suck balls, and it sucks to write your own software for those things. A Linux phone really would be it, because then I could
I'd be fine with a Windows phone.
Well, they do have a Windows phone, but that has all the same problems.
I know.
They didn't fix any of it.
Well, the problem is an actual Windows phone. A phone that was just running XP, and I could install whatever I wanted on it.
And not only that, but all these applications, if they happen to use the data network, I want true, unlimited usage of the data network at the speed at which it is, and I don't want you looking at what I'm using it for. And I'm willing to pay like a lot of money a month. I mean, Verizon charges $80 a month for unlimited data. The problem is it's not really unlimited data. They have like a secret limit, and they'll cut you off if they see you watching YouTube on your phone.
If they just be like, all right, here are the exact limits and here are the rules.
But I wouldn't pay $80 a month for the limit that they have.
But I'd be fine if they just say it. But the problem is,
if they just say it, I'm only going to pay $40 for that limit.
ISPs do the same thing, where they say, check it out, unlimited bandwidth, but it's not really, and they'll just totally screw you if you go beyond their
Yes.
secret, arbitrary.
I want to be able to send any data I want on the full, free, open internet and do whatever the fuck I want with my phone. It's my phone. I'm on the internet. I pay you for the connection to the internet. Let me do whatever I want. If I want to use Skype over the internet instead of using your phone, tough shit. If I want to send IMs, tough shit. If I want to download MP3s, tough shit. I'm doing whatever I want. It's my phone. Fuck you.
Now, along those lines, the phone's got to support 802.11. So I can just go on the internet. If there's any wireless access point, I should be able to just connect to that.
Yeah, and even better if it had the 802.11n.
Yes, but I'd be okay with G.
And speaking of which, it also, you can't be giving me no G2 phone. It has to go on the fastest cell networks possible. I need the EVDUs. I need all that action. You know, I don't want this slow ass like 1X or GPRS business. I need the Edge. I need the HSDPA. I need everything. No matter where I am, if there's cell towers, I'm on. That's how if I go to a foreign country, I got to switch out my SIM card and I'm on. There can't be anywhere where there's cell service and I'm not on,
Speaking
getting as
of,
fast as I can go.
SIM card. I'd better be able to take that SIM card out and put it in a different phone.
Yes.
Or put a different SIM card in that phone.
There is no way that I am going to have my phone tied to the carrier. I mean, right now, I can it's sort of understandable because the phone carriers in the U.S., unlike other countries, they give you, they subsidize your phone. When you buy, say, a Trio from Verizon, that Trio only costs you like a few $100s, whereas buying a Trio on your own from Palm directly is a lot more money, and Verizon subsidizes your phone in exchange for your extended contract. However, the ideal phone for me would be a phone that I buy from the phone manufacturer.
For whatever price, we're fine
For
with
whatever
that.
price they're charging, I don't care. And I own that hardware. It's mine, and I paid for all of it. And then I can use it on any network I want. You know, I guess I can understand the technological, problems with having a phone that's either on the, the GPRS, GSM, Edge, HSDPA type networks, and the phones that are on the, EVDU 1X Verizon type networks, PCM.
Yeah. Well, I think the deal is we're talking
CDMA.
about what we want in a phone, and some of the problems are just people being greedy and wanting money. Some of the problems are just technological. Some of the problems are...
So what I want is a phone that can do all the networks, but obviously, if the phone does one or the other, I'd still be cool with it, as long as it did all the high speeds.
Yeah. Now, also, I should be able to own the phone and do what I want with it. Now, specifically, I'm talking about GPS, because a lot of phones, even if they don't do it with the satellites or with the whatever, they can do a weak GPS by looking at cell towers and figure out where you are. Almost every phone does not let you get that data, and you have to pay to get that data.
Well, what that comes down to is the phone has hardware in it, and the hardware of the phone, just looking at the capabilities of that hardware, it can do certain things, like get GPS coordinates that are roughly accurate, or play music out the speakerphone, or anything like that. If my phone's hardware is capable of something, I want to not be limited at all in taking advantage of those capabilities. I might not want to take advantage of all those capabilities, but I don't want to be prevented from doing anything. If my phone can get shitty GPS data, I want access to that shitty GPS data. If my phone can play crappy music out the speakerphone, I want to be able to play crappy music out the speakerphone. Everything the phone can do, I need to be able to do if I want to. You cannot limit me in any way. It's my phone. I control it, not you.
It's got to be able to play MP3s.
And all kinds of other audio formats, if possible,
Yeah,
would be nice.
I don't really need video, but...
Yeah, I don't really need video on the go because I'm not personally interested in watching video on the go. I mean,
I am now just on the train, but
I use
honestly,
my laptop or something.
Yeah, I bought a dedicated little DVD laptop player.
Personally, I don't see the point of the portable handheld video device. I mean, the iPod with video does nothing for me. I don't get it. It's a
Well,
really
Scott,
small screen and a shitty experience.
It's not for you.
It's obviously not for me. So I personally don't care about that feature. I wouldn't mind if the feature was there.
Nah.
But I probably wouldn't use it that much, and if that wasn't available, I really wouldn't care. But playing music, I do care, because I'm trying to reduce the number of devices I carry. And if the phone is as good an MP3 player as, say, the Cowan iAudio 7, or even the iPod, I don't need to carry an iPod or a Cowan iAudio 7. That's one less thing for me to carry, so all the better.
I think that's it.
No, I don't know. I think there's more where I'm concerned.
What else? I mean, we've covered a lot. Like, I could talk about...
Well, mostly
I wanted
the camera.
To do,
I could say the camera... only because... The only reason I want a camera in the phone is because I'm not crazy about the picture quality. I mean, I need good picture quality. It can't be pixelated 640 by 480 business, but it's got to be good enough. But again, one less device to carry. If I have a camera in my phone that's as good as my camera, I could just sell my camera and I'll carry one less thing.
I don't think you will, though, just because the lenses and everything, no matter how many megapixels, to get a good picture, you need good lenses. So you're not going to get a good camera.
That is a problem. But right now, I carry my camera with me in my bag everywhere. But if the phone camera was better, it doesn't have to be as good as the camera lens, but if it was better enough, and I had, free access to the pictures the same way I have free access to the pictures on my actual camera.
I think the free access is a given at this point.
Yes, obviously. Then I wouldn't have to carry my camera unless it was a special occasion where I knew I was going to take a lot of pictures. So it would be one less device to carry on a day-to-day basis.
See, I don't really care about the camera, but I don't mind having a camera in a cell phone. It doesn't have to be good, just because every now and then something happens and you got to get a picture of the license plate of the crazy guy who just tried to attack you or whatever.
That's what it comes down to, is that I only use a camera on a daily basis to take a picture of something random that happens, like, oh man, picture. But if I only take serious pictures of something when I know in advance I'm going to take pictures. So that's all the phone camera has to be capable of, If I see something crazy, I want to take a short video of it for YouTube or whatever. And as long as the phone can do that, it's cool. The last thing that I could think of...
You got another thing?
The only thing, that's the only thing I can think of right now, is that I want to be able to communicate freely between my phone and my computer, so I can back up my phone stuff onto my computer.
To me, I think that's just a part of, I own it, I can do whatever I want with it.
It is part of that, but... it's not something a lot of people realize. For example, my old phone, I backed up the contact list, and on my new phone, I sent the contact list to my new phone. And I didn't have to sit there manually adjusting all the contacts. And that's only because I was really smart and I bought a special cable for my old phone, and I knew what I was doing. Most people can't do that, and they manually switch their contacts when they get a new phone.
And a lot of phones just don't let you do it.
Yeah, so... pretty much that functionality is limited only to crazy smart computer nerds, and that should be obvious and very easy for everybody. It's a travesty that it's not. People switching their contacts the way they do now, it's just not cool. Anything else?
I think that's it. At that point, I'd buy that phone. I'd wait in line overnight. I'd skip work to get it. I'd be really happy.
If there was only one of them in the whole world, I would try to become first in line, and yeah, that's if I have all those things, then that is a phone that could significantly change my life, and it would become probably the most important device in my life.
I don't think that phone's going to be around in the next decade.
No, I don't know. Decade, maybe 5 years. 10 years
it's tough because all the technological hurdles are going to get overcome really easily. The problem, and notice we didn't say size. A device that can do all those things can be bigger than a standard phone. I'm cool with that.
It could be big. It could be big, but there is a point at which I'd say, all right, too big.
Oh yeah, if it's as big as like the monitor in front of me right now.
It's got to be DS Lite size or smaller, because the DS Lite is like the biggest thing I'd want to put in my pocket. Bigger than that, you're getting into sketchy territory.
Yeah, but I think a lot
of course, smaller is better, though. If it was really small, like iPod Nano size, awesome.
I think a lot of these problems aren't technological. They're just part and parcel with the cell phone industry in America, which is making a lot of money and has no reason to change.
Yep. The other thing, I think part of what it is that it's sort of like this oligopoly where there are just a few carriers. And
oligopoly, I like that word.
That's a real word.
I know, I find it funny.
All right, oligopoly is a real word. It's when there's a bunch
I know, I can figure out based on the meaning of the word oligarchy and the meaning of the word monopoly what oligopoly means.
Yeah, it's a word I actually learned in economics class. I'm surprised you didn't know it already and you had to figure it out.
It's a word I've never run into.
It's a bunch of companies.
Because usually I just say oligarchy.
No, it's an oligopoly.
Okay.
All right. And together, they form this evil group of companies that they all decide to do the same thing, sort of like price fixing. But in a way, it's feature fixing. It's like if every television manufacturer in the world decided to only make black and white TVs, that's sort of like what this is. Every cell phone carrier in the U.S. decided to only sell lockdown phones. And if just one of them would break away and say, our phones are unlocked, they'd beat everyone else's ass into the ground.
Would they? Because most people don't know what that even means.
That's the thing, is they had to accompany it with a marketing campaign that makes everyone realize how much better that is than the other companies.
But can't they make more money by just doing what they're doing now?
I don't know. And I think the thing is, everyone who is in successful business is extremely risk averse, and they just don't want to take a chance, even if might do better.
If I'm already making millions and millions and millions of dollars, I'm not going to take risks to make a few more millions. I'm going to keep making millions.
I would always take risks to make more millions.
at some point I would stop taking risks to make more millions.
I would never stop taking risks to make more millions. That's the whole. What's the point then? If I'm gonna not take risks, I'm just gonna retire.
I'll take risks, but I'll use my money to do other things.
It's
I'm not
take
gonna...
risks until I retire.
But it's not take risks to make more money. It's take risks to have fun. Big difference.
If I was in charge of a business, the only reason to be in charge of that business is to take risks, to do better business, and be more awesome. And if there's a point at which I don't want to take risks in the business anymore, there's no point in running it because it's just going to sit there doing its thing, and I'll just retire.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, phones suck. Oh, by the way, everyone usually says, oh, phones in Japan, phones in Korea, they're so awesome. And they are so awesome. Oh, are they so awesome? Like, in Japan, you can get a phone that watches broadcast TV and stuff like that, and it's totally nuts. But a lot of those features, like watching broadcast TV, I really don't care about. And in some ways, the phones there are still locked down, and in some ways, they're not. And while they're a lot better than the U.S., and if I was over there, I'd probably buy one and be like, oh, man, it's still not perfect.
Well, because partly they're really expensive.
Oh, they sure are.
Talking on cell phones over there sucks, as Emily is miming to me from across the room.
Yeah, but it is, the network is
so it's kind
super
of
awesome.
Both sides are bad. I mean, here, it's really cheap to talk, but they fuck us. And there, it's really expensive to talk, and they fuck them slightly less.
Yep. Only when the fucking is completely removed will the ultimate phone be purchased.
I don't see it happening anytime soon. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.